Mambo Team Africa Worldwide. Habari ya Sabui, Habari ya Machana, Habari ya Gioni. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. I don't know why I still can't get my intro right. I am going to be making my last video for the next 21 days. I am going on a 21-day social media fast. No YouTube, no IG. I'm not really into Facebook. I log on probably every 3 or 4 months and don't have a Twitter account or a Snapchat. But I spend and I waste a whole lot of time just watching YouTube videos and following people on IG, and I need to be more productive. So I'm doing a 21-day social media fast. But I just wanted to make this video before I start that fast. And as you can see in the title of this video, it's called The Biggest Problem with Black People. And to be honest, it's the only problem with black people. We might think we have a lot of different problems, maybe racism, maybe poverty, maybe relationships, family problems, health problems, political problems, social problems, crime. But to be honest, all of these are only symptoms of the real problem. The problem that black African people have had since antiquity and it continues to plague us today is the lack of unity. That's it. If you want to know why we poor, it's because, and of course we're not all poor, but in relation to the wealth that Europeans have calculated, have gathered, and the amount of wealth that we've gathered and currently hold, we're poor. But even though we waste a lot of money that goes through our hands, but I digress. The reason is lack of unity. We don't support black businesses, and we love to run and give our money to other people. Same thing. We can't keep our relationships together. Why? Black man is against the black woman, and the black woman is against the black man. And in the words of KRS-One, a nation is just a group of families. So if we don't have any families, we don't have a nation. So that's just lack of unity. And then we have this extreme tribalism. African Americans here in my country trying to form a new tribe. That's so backwards. In 2019, they calling themselves ADOS, which stands for American Descendants of Slaves. And if they were smart, they would know that a descendant of a slave is a slave. I might be an American according to current law, meaning I'm a citizen of the United States of America, but I don't claim any name that doesn't include the word Africa, and especially a word, but it includes the word American, a slave. I mean, that makes no sense, and it does not mean I'm against reparations. The ADOS label and reparations don't go hand in hand. They don't equal one another. People have been fighting for reparations long before this ADOS BS came out. And if you know anything about legislation, I was a legislative analyst for 2 years in Washington, D.C. If you know anything about legislation, if it's involving money, you have one bill that's about the subject matter. You have another bill about the funding of the original bill. And the first paragraph usually have a title, then you have a summary paragraph of what the bill is about, and then you have a list of definitions. So you don't have to change your name from African American to ADOS to ensure that people who aren't from your same lineage get any part of your reparations money, because there's a definitions area of on every piece of legislation that describes every term that's going to be in the legislation, and if it's and there's a separate bill for funding that will be very specific about the distribution of such funds or whatever form of reparations that we may or may not receive. So you really just put in the cart before the horse, worrying about trying to divide yourself away from other black people, trying to divide yourself from Caribbean brothers and sisters, trying to divide yourself from Nigerian immigrants and stuff like that, thinking, they're trying to get part of your money. You need to worry about getting the reparations first, and then worry about the distribution. That's backwards. And you need to think about the fact that this 2019, and I know there's evidence that that Africans were here before slavery, and also that slavery started prior to 1619, but everybody was looking at the 1619 to 2019 date as 400 years of being captives and prisoners of war here in the U.S. And so Ghana invited us African Americans to visit Ghana, and they called it the Year of Return. And so people was looking at that as a good time to return to the continent. And you think it's a coincidence that this ADOS movement picked up so much steam in the Year of Return, and when we were having a great step, a great momentum towards Pan-Africanism with this Year of Return, and you think it's a coincidence? I don't know if Yvette Carnell or Tone Talks are paid agents, if they're on anybody's payroll, but they are agents as a result of the destruction they are doing. I don't know if they just had bad experiences with some other black people, and now they're trying to take everybody down with them. But what I do know is that all those people that's fanning the flames in the comment sections, if you believe those are all just regular black people, you got to be crazy. Nas said you can read the comments, but don't fall for that. There are not only trolls, but there are people who are paid to come on this social media and cause disruption. They are the ones who got the momentum of this ADOS separation movement going. You got to think about it like this with this whole divide and conquer thing. There would never have been a slavery if black African people thought like the other people of the world. Europeans, they discriminate based on skin color. Asians discriminate based on skin color. Arabs discriminate based on skin color. African people are the only ones who never had this concept. And even though it might sound holier than thou and all humanitarian, what is the end result of not discriminating by skin color? The end result is you being used and abused by everybody else on the planet. And what you have to understand is that all black African people have the exact same enemy: global white supremacy. Global white supremacy. And so you as a tribe in Africa, America, or a tribe in African England, or a tribe in Jamaica, or a tribe in Kenya, or a tribe in Senegal, or a tribe in Mali or a tribe in South Africa, if you think that you can go up against Pan-Europeanism as an individual group, you're not using logic. I mean, we complain about all types of stupid stuff about who's going to play a historical character in a movie, and people are not going to support a black movie about one of the greatest black women who ever lived because that movie, the main actress, is not from the United States of America. That is retarded. We've had African Americans play Nelson Mandela, Winnie Mandela. Black Brits play Nelson Mandela. We've had black people play Idi Amin. And the list goes on and on. You know, we just had a big, giant blockbuster movie about a fictional land in Africa called Black Panther, and the Black Panther was American, and he chose to use a South African accent. And he said that he wasn't going to accept the role unless he was using an American accent, because originally Marvel wanted him to use a British accent. But there's never any problem when African Americans play roles of Africans. And we making a big deal because one of our sisters from Africa or from England or somewhere is playing Harriet Tubman. That's foolish. We are all victims of this war that we are involved in, and most of us aren't even smart enough to know that we are at war. This war has been declared on non-black African people, on black African people. You know, it started more than 500 years ago, and it's going on to this day. And the only way we can defeat Pan-Europeanism is through Pan-Africanism. My brothers and my sisters are Pan-Africans. I don't care if you're from Canada. I don't care if you're from Australia. I don't care if you live in Tokyo. If you are a black African and you Pan-African, you my brother or you my sister. If you are from the U.S. and you don't claim kinship with Africa, I don't know you. That's how we gonna divide and conquer. We can divide it up, but we gonna go ahead and divide it up by like-minded people. People who understand that there is strength in unity. Those are my people. I mean, I invested $800 in DNA tests and spent hours upon hours analyzing the results of those DNA tests, and I've come to the conclusion that there's one Africa and one people. Most black people are Bantu. If you look up, or part Bantu, if you do research on Bantus, Bantus spread all over Africa. And then you start breaking stuff down, the tribes. You learn anything about the Fulani, and the Hausa. They travel all over Africa. And if you know, if you check DNA, all these different tribes are genetically the same people mostly. And none of us are pure anything. I don't care if you lived in Africa your whole life, was born and raised, you're not pure one tribe. Over the years, people migrated and tribes merged together. So we all got the same DNA running through our blood. We might have a little bit different admixture. Some people might have a little bit more ethnic group than another ethnic group. Some of us might have a little European in us or a little Asian in us, but when you do the research, we are all the same people. I have been to Africa twice. I'm going back next month, and I don't know how many times I've seen people that I said to myself, I know for a fact that that person has to be an African American. I can just tell by their mannerisms, the way they walk, and the way they walk and the way they move. I walk up and talk to this person and find out that they are native to Africa. And when you go over there, you know, because there's such diversity in the way we look, you go over there, they do not know that you are not born and raised in Africa until you start to talk, or unless you're wearing particular clothing that they don't wear. So we're all one people, one Africa, one people. And when I say Africa, I'm talking about wherever African people may be in the diaspora, that's Africa. I'm talking about global Africa. We only have one problem, that's lack of unity. We only have one problem, that's divisiveness. That's the biggest problem with black people. That's the biggest problem with African people. If we all come together, no matter what, and stop looking for reasons to cancel one another, and stop looking for reasons to not like one another, and just decide that we're going to unify by any means necessary and all means necessary, this planet will change. It's no way we can be defeated. You might be worried about European weapons. Guess what? If their weapons were so powerful, they would have already killed all of us. They wouldn't be doing it slowly. The reason they haven't exterminated us is because they can't exterminate us. You know, will some of us have to die in order for future black people to have real freedom? Yeah, probably. But guess what? That's called sacrifice. Most of you claim to be Christians. You claim to follow Jesus Christ, whether he's a real or fictional person. But if you follow that character who supposedly gave it all for everybody, why don't you be Christ-like and know about sacrifice? You don't have to see the fruits of your work, live to see the fruits of your work in this day and time. The problem with black people is we want everything now. We want to see progress tomorrow after a little bit of effort today. Sometimes it takes generations to make real change, but you got to contribute. Think about our people who were on the plantations before they got free. Those people, they went through way more than we going through, and they knew, most of them, that they were going to die in that situation. But they didn't give up. They did everything they did to survive so that we can be in the situation we are now. If they would have thought, oh, I only care what about change that I can see in my lifetime, we wouldn't be where we are today. They made sacrifices so that we can have the amount of freedom that we have now. And we got to make sacrifices so the black people that come after us, that they can get full sovereignty over themselves. You know, and I'm being repetitive. I'm just saying the same thing a different way over and over. But I'm saying this is because I want it to sink in to people. I want it to sink in. You know, it's like, I don't know why we don't get it, that we must unite. All black African people must unite all over the world. And if we do that, we can take our freedom back. Africa is the richest place on the planet. Africa has the most gold, the most diamonds, the most oil, the most timber. They have minerals that we don't even know the names of. And the only reason they are poor is because we allow ourselves to be manipulated. We allow ourselves to be just confused by their religions, and we allow ourselves to be divided. And, you know, East Africa versus West Africa, and West Africa versus South Africa, and continentals versus diasporans, and West Indians versus Negroes. And then you got all these groups, you know. Some people want to be black. Some people want to be African. Some people want to be Hebrew. Some people want to be Kemetic. Some people want to be Moors. Some people want to be natives. Some people want to be indigenous. Some people want to be original. Some people want to be niggas. And that's what we are, guys. kings, you know, and if you, whatever other name you want to throw on there, we all are black Africans, you know. And once we accept that, and we accept that we are one family, and we move forward, we will get rid of poverty. We will get rid of crime. We will get rid of drug abuse and alcohol abuse. We'll get away from bad diet and bad health care. You know, we need to start being ourselves and stop following other people. You know, we don't understand that religion is all metaphors. You know, heaven is what you make it, and hell is what you go through. And God is what's good, and the devil is what's bad. And everybody got a higher self, and everybody got a lower self. And the Africans, their whole goal was for the higher self to have the discipline, to have the higher self discipline the lower self. That's what the Sphinx is about. That's why there's a head on the top of a lion, proving that you can use your mind to control your animal instincts. But these people who run the world, they are the exact opposite. They run off of their lower self. And if we being divided by them and we following behind them, then we are operating from our lower selves. You know, just all about casual sex and causing unwanted babies and abortions and just causing destruction to our family. We getting all types of crazy piercings through our face and tattoos all on our face, and we laying in bed with dogs and kissing animals in the face. And none of this stuff is African. None of this stuff is what black people do. We following behind mutated hybrid. A mutated hybrid. We're following against people who aren't even fully human. People who are partial Neanderthal combined with a mutated African. Why would we follow behind them? We've been on this planet for millions of years, and in a short amount of time, we've become other than ourselves. Adopt you an African surname. Learn to speak an African language. Go to African restaurants and eat African food. Spend your money with black people. When you travel, don't take your ass to China, Paris, London, Brazil. You go to Africa. They got 54, 55 so-called countries. I call them states because the United States of Africa will become a reality. And so Africa is a country to me, and it's a very big one. And once we consolidate, we will be a superpower. And people who don't watch African news, you need to pay attention. There are plenty of Pan-Africans who live in Africa. A lot of the common people, they don't know what's up. They just living day from day. But there are people who have been educated in the UK and been educated in the US and have exposure to the diaspora and really see how these Europeans get down. They take that information back to the continent. And they have a free trade agreement that they've signed recently for all the countries to be able to trade amongst one another. In East Africa, they just rolled out a East African passport that you could use in several countries. In West Africa, they just rolled out a new monetary unit to get rid of the European-backed money they was using, so they could all be spending the same currency. And so the United States of Africa, it is slowly becoming a reality, but it will happen faster if everybody gets on board, or if everybody gets on code, as some people like to say. But not no stupid ass divisive code. I'm a damn slave. I'm a ADOS. I'm a Igbo. You know, I'm a Mandika. I mean, it's okay to know where you come from. That's good, and have pride in where you come from, but you can't be using that as a reason to divide from other African people. Because Pan-Europeanism is the enemy of all of us, and the only way it can be defeated is with Pan-Africanism. It cannot be defeated by everybody being their own little group. And so I'm just gonna end on that note. I'm starting to feel like I'm rambling right now. I'm getting a little frustrated, but I spend too much time arguing in the comments on different YouTube pages, trying to get people to see that 1 + 1 is 2. But they all in their feelings, and because they all in their feelings about, oh, this other group called us a name, or these other groups don't like us, or all that foolishness, they can't even see that 1 + 1 is 2. 1 + 1 is 2 is that we all got a common enemy, and we are all being attacked based on the fact that we are black Africans, and the only way to overcome this thing is to become Pan-African. And I'm done with that. I'm not going to even speak on that anymore. It's like, if you down with Pan-Africanism, you my family. If you not, then you not. And that's the way we can divide it up. All right, so on that note, Team Africa Worldwide, I'll see y'all next time. It's all love, and Kwahini Kwasasa.